The conference room buzzed with tension, executives scribbling notes as numbers flashed on the screen. At the far end, Evelyn Ross, a sharp CEO, folded her arms, eyes blazing. She pointed suddenly at Michael Harris, 40, a quiet single dad who worked in maintenance. "You solve this problem right here, in front of everyone." Gasps filled the room. Why him? Michael swallowed hard, his daughter's words echoing in his mind. "Dad, never give up. Stay. This touching story will leave you stunned." Michael Harris had perfected the art of invisibility during 3 years at Ross Industries. His routine required balancing two demanding jobs: day shifts fixing manufacturing equipment and night shifts raising his 11-year-old daughter Lily, who had been his world since her mother died 4 years earlier. Evelyn Ross commanded the company with iron will that had transformed her father's small business into a billion-dollar corporation. She was brilliant, demanding, notoriously harsh, famous for dismantling senior executives with surgical precision that left careers shattered. Michael normally blended into backgrounds during maintenance rounds, acknowledged only when broken equipment required his expertise. He had learned to time repairs around meetings, working quietly while important decisions were made by people who earned more in a day than he made in a year. This Tuesday morning, tension filled Conference Room A as Evelyn's team wrestled with a supply chain crisis threatening to shut down 3 facilities. The problem had consumed weeks of analysis, generated hundreds of consultant report pages, and resisted every solution Harvard MBAs and industry veterans proposed. Charts filled wall displays showing distribution networks, inventory levels, cost projections, painting increasingly dire operational paralysis. Voices rose as frustration mounted, each department head defending territory while the situation deteriorated. Michael had been called to repair the main projector, which developed intermittent connections, causing critical data to flicker. He worked quietly in the corner, testing cables while the meeting devolved into heated exchanges about responsibility and solutions. From his equipment rack position, he could see the entire problem across multiple screens: transportation bottlenecks, supplier delays, inventory imbalances, coordination failures cascading through their network like falling dominoes. The solution seemed obvious to someone who diagnosed mechanical failures daily, but Michael had learned not to offer opinions about matters above his pay grade. That's when Evelyn's patience snapped. Her voice cut through arguing with razor authority. "Enough! We've spent 2 hours on excuses and finger-pointing. If none of you can solve this, maybe we need fresh perspective." Her gaze landed on Michael, kneeling beside the projector with screwdriver in hand. Something shifted in her expression. Not mockery, but genuine curiosity about someone whose calm presence contrasted sharply with surrounding chaos. "You," she said, pointing at the maintenance worker who had never spoken during corporate meetings. "Solve this problem, right here, in front of everyone." The room fell silent as executives stared at the man challenged to solve a crisis that defeated their collective expertise. Michael slowly rose, tool belt jangling in awkward quiet. "Ma'am, I don't think," he began, but Evelyn cut him off. "I didn't ask what you think. I asked you to solve it." Michael studied displays showing their supply chain nightmare, eyes moving methodically across distribution maps, inventory charts, transportation schedules. Around him, executives shifted uncomfortably, some barely concealing smirks at what they assumed would be embarrassing demonstration. When Michael spoke, his voice was quiet but steady. "This reminds me of fixing an engine that won't start. Everyone focuses on big parts, engine block, transmission, but usually the problem is something small affecting everything else." He moved toward displays, pointing to specific bottlenecks. "Your suppliers aren't the problem. Your warehouses aren't the problem. The problem is timing. You're pushing everything through the same choke points simultaneously." His solution was elegantly simple, addressing coordination failures that had escaped analysis by people whose expertise came from business schools rather than hands-on problem solving. Michael continued his explanation with growing confidence, translating complex logistics into mechanical analogies that formed his understanding foundation. If you stagger deliveries by 6 hours and reroute 15% through secondary facilities, you eliminate backup causing delays everywhere else. Sometimes fixing isn't about more power, it's about better timing. The room remained silent as implications became clear to professionals who had learned to complicate rather than simplify. His proposal addressed coordination failures through practical wisdom that sophisticated financial models had missed. Later, Evelyn found Michael in the lobby, curious about someone who demonstrated insight her highest-paid consultants missed. She asked how he saw the answer so clearly. Michael shrugged with years-practiced modesty. "I fix things for a living. At work, at home. You learn to see what's actually broken instead of what people think is broken." He spoke about Lily, about evenings repairing bicycles and appliances in their garage for extra school money, about satisfaction from restoring function to things others had written off. His world was practical solutions rather than theoretical frameworks. Evelyn listened with uncharacteristic patience to stories about life built around sacrifice and determination rather than ambition and acquisition. This problem-solving perspective was foreign to her corporate experience, where complexity was often mistaken for sophistication. Over following weeks, she included Michael in strategic discussions, valuing his grounded perspective on issues her executive team approached through academic theories and market research. His insights consistently cut through bureaucratic complexity to identify core problems others obscured with jargon. The executive team resented this unprecedented elevation of a maintenance worker to advisory status, but results proved Michael's practical approach more effective than their sophisticated methodologies. His solutions worked because they addressed reality rather than theoretical models. Evelyn's transformation became apparent when Lily visited the workshop one afternoon, proudly showing latest drawings to anyone who would look. Evelyn knelt to child level examining artwork featuring superheroes who looked remarkably like a man in work clothes, and for the first time in Michael's memory, her smile was genuine rather than strategic. "Your dad's pretty special," Evelyn told Lily, voice carrying warmth that surprised everyone present. "I know," Lily replied with matter-of-fact confidence children bring to hero discussions. "He fixes everything." The breakthrough moment came during a particularly challenging logistics problem that had stumped the entire strategic planning department. Michael's solution not only worked, but saved the company millions while improving customer satisfaction metrics across all divisions. Evelyn began seeking his input on issues beyond operational challenges, personnel problems, vendor relationships, even board presentation strategies. His ability to see through complexity to essential truths proved valuable in contexts far removed from mechanical repair. The relationship deepened when Evelyn discovered Michael working overtime in the workshop, not on company equipment, but repairing donated bicycles for children whose families couldn't afford new ones. She watched silently as he methodically restored function to machines that would bring joy to kids who understood the value of things that worked properly. "Why do you do this?" she asked, genuinely puzzled by someone who gave away skills that could generate additional income his family obviously needed. "Because fixing things that matter to people feels good," Michael replied, adjusting a bicycle chain with the same care he brought to million-dollar manufacturing equipment. "And because I want Lily to understand that we help others when we can, not because we have to." That conversation marked a turning point in Evelyn's understanding of motivation and satisfaction. She had spent years believing that financial incentives drove all human behavior, but Michael demonstrated daily that some people were motivated by principles that transcended personal gain. Their professional relationship evolved into something approaching friendship as Evelyn found herself looking forward to conversations with someone who valued authenticity over advantage, who measured success by positive impact rather than accumulated wealth, who found satisfaction in solving problems rather than creating them. The corporate culture began shifting subtly as other employees observed their CEO treating a maintenance worker with respect typically reserved for senior executives. Hierarchical barriers that had seemed permanent started showing cracks as practical wisdom proved more valuable than theoretical credentials. Keep watching, because when Evelyn makes her final challenge, it will change everything for both of them. The corporate backlash reached crescendo during the monthly board meeting, where Evelyn's reliance on Michael's counsel faced systematic attack from executives whose authority had been challenged by his consistently accurate insights. Victor Crane, her ambitious deputy positioning himself as eventual successor, led the assault with surgical precision. "Evelyn, this has gone too far. How can we justify consulting a janitor about strategic decisions while ignoring senior staff expertise?" The boardroom erupted in controlled criticism building for weeks as Michael's practical solutions continued outperforming complex strategies that highly paid executives developed through advanced education and corporate experience. Shareholders expect leadership based on proven business principles, not maintenance manual philosophy, added the CFO, whose Wharton MBA had been reduced to irrelevance by Michael's ability to identify cost savings sophisticated financial models missed. Personal attacks escalated as board members questioned not just Michael's qualifications, but his motives, suggesting he was manipulating Evelyn for gain rather than providing genuine operational insight. Michael finally reached his breaking point during a vicious session where Victor openly mocked his educational background and suggested his influence was evidence of Evelyn's failing judgment. "I don't need this," Michael told Evelyn afterward, voice tight with anger. "I'm trying to do honest work and raise my daughter. I don't want Lily ashamed because people think I don't know my place." Quo. But Evelyn confronted his retreat with empire-building intensity. "You walk away now, and you prove them right. Is that what you want to teach your daughter? That when people doubt you, you should doubt yourself?" Lily, waiting in the outer office, overheard the conversation. Her voice cut through adult conflict with childhood clarity. "Dad, you always tell me we don't run from hard things just because they're hard." Michael looked at his daughter, seeing the same determination that carried them through her mother's illness, through years of financial struggle, through every challenge that tested their small family's resilience. The next morning, Michael returned with quiet confidence that comes from knowing principles matter more than approval. Victor prepared to deliver what he expected would be the final blow to Michael's credibility. "Let's settle this once and for all," Victor announced, presenting a complex operational problem specifically chosen to highlight practical experience limitations when confronted with sophisticated business challenges requiring advanced analytical skills. The problem involved international supply chains, currency fluctuations, regulatory compliance, market dynamics, seemingly designed to overwhelm someone whose expertise came from fixing machines rather than managing multinational corporations. Evelyn surprised everyone by accepting Victor's challenge with an unexpected twist. "Michael will solve it. If his solution works, I'll stake my entire reputation on his capabilities. If it fails, I'll accept whatever consequences the board deems appropriate." Absolute silence followed as everyone understood Evelyn had wagered her career on a maintenance worker's problem-solving abilities. Michael studied complex charts and financial projections Victor had prepared, mind working through interconnected systems others saw as separate problems requiring separate solutions. The challenge was designed to defeat him, but also represented everything he'd learned about finding simple answers to complicated questions. When he spoke, voice was steady despite enormous pressure. "You're treating this like separate problems that need separate solutions, but it's really one system that's not coordinated properly." His approach was characteristically unorthodox, addressing the multifaceted problem through practical principles rather than business school theories. He identified bottlenecks in regulatory approval processes, suggested currency hedging strategies that reduced risk while improving cash flow, and proposed supplier relationship modifications that increased flexibility while reducing costs. "The international complications aren't really international problems," Michael explained, pointing to specific inefficiencies in their global operations. "They're coordination problems that happened across borders. Fix the coordination, and the borders become less important." His proposal addressed every aspect of Victor's challenge through coordinated changes that seemed simple individually, but created systematic improvements sophisticated analysis had failed to identify. Victor's face reflected growing disbelief as Michael's solution proved not just workable, but elegant, addressing complex international business challenges through principles that any competent problem solver could understand and implement. The board members sat in stunned silence as implications became clear. Months of consultant fees and executive analysis had been outmatched by someone who understood systems through repair experience rather than academic theory. Evelyn's gamble was about to pay off in ways that would reshape not just her career, but the entire company's approach to problem solving and personnel development. As Michael finished his presentation, the room remained silent while board members processed how practical wisdom had surpassed theoretical knowledge in the most public demonstration possible. The silence stretched nearly a full minute as board members processed implications of what they'd witnessed. Victor's challenge, designed to expose practical experience limitations, had instead revealed theoretical knowledge limitations when applied to real-world systems. Michael's solution wasn't just workable, it was brilliant in simplicity, addressing every aspect of complex international problems through coordinated changes, creating systematic efficiencies rather than piecemeal improvements. His approach identified cost savings and operational improvements months of consultant analysis had missed. Gasps rippled through the boardroom as the full scope became clear to executives whose advanced degrees and corporate experience had been outmatched by someone who understood systems through hands-on repair rather than academic theory. Evelyn turned to her stunned board with satisfaction. "Gentlemen, meet the man who just saved this company approximately $47 million annually while improving operational efficiency across 3 continents." For the first time in 3 years, Michael wasn't invisible. He was essential. The maintenance worker dismissed as unqualified had demonstrated capabilities exceeding the company's highest-paid executives. Victor's face reflected collapsed ambitions, built on assumptions that corporate success required credentials rather than competence. His challenge had backfired spectacularly, revealing him as someone who could create complicated problems but not elegant solutions. The meeting concluded with Evelyn announcing Michael's promotion to Senior Operations Advisor, a newly created position allowing him to apply practical problem-solving skills to strategic challenges. His salary increase would transform his family's financial situation while recognizing his true value. 3 weeks later, Evelyn did something unprecedented. She visited an employee's home for social rather than business purposes. Michael's modest house represented a world her wealth had never allowed her to experience authentically. Dinner was served around a kitchen table that could fit inside her executive bathroom, but conversation and laughter carried warmth no luxury could purchase. Lily entertained their guest with school stories, treating the powerful CEO like a favorite aunt rather than someone whose decisions affected thousands. No business suits, no corporate hierarchies, no strategic discussions. Instead, 3 people who'd found each other across impossible social boundaries shared spaghetti and homemade bread while building relationships money couldn't buy and power couldn't command. Lily, with her characteristic directness, leaned close to Evelyn and whispered, "See, Dad? You don't just fix machines, you fix people too." Evelyn's smile was the most genuine Michael had ever seen, reflecting recognition that she'd needed repair as much as any corporate system. Her wealth and power had isolated her from authentic human connection, leaving her surrounded by people who valued her position rather than her person. Michael's response carried wisdom from years of understanding how broken things could be restored. Maybe we're all just waiting for someone to believe in us, to see what we're really capable of when given the chance. The evening concluded with Lily showing Evelyn her latest artwork, a drawing of 3 people standing together outside a house, all smiling, with "My New Family" written in careful 11-year-old handwriting. As Evelyn prepared to leave, she realized Michael had given her something more valuable than any business solution. He'd shown her that success could be measured in relationships rather than revenues, in trust rather than profits, in satisfaction from helping others achieve potential rather than simply achieving your own goals. Their friendship continued growing, built on mutual respect rather than corporate hierarchy, sustained by understanding that true value comes from character rather than credentials, from willingness to see potential in unexpected places and courage to act on that recognition. The story of the maintenance worker who became strategic advisor spread throughout Ross Industries and beyond, inspiring other organizations to look for wisdom in unexpected places, reminding everyone that the most important qualifications for solving problems are intelligence, integrity, and humility to learn from anyone with something valuable to teach. Michael's success opened doors for other overlooked employees, creating a culture where ideas mattered more than titles, where practical experience was valued alongside theoretical knowledge, where the best solution could come from anyone willing to think clearly about complex problems. Lily's pride in her father's recognition was evident in every conversation about his new role. But more importantly, she had learned that respect is earned through competence and character, rather than inherited through position or purchased through wealth. The transformation at Ross Industries became a business school case study in recognizing and developing talent regardless of its source, in the value of diverse perspectives for solving complex challenges, in the importance of creating environments where the best ideas can emerge from any level of the organization. Years later, when Michael was featured in business magazines as an innovative problem solver who had revolutionized operational efficiency across multiple industries, he always credited his success to lessons learned from fixing things that were broken and from raising a daughter who taught him that some of the most important repairs involve helping people discover their own capabilities. If this story inspired you, subscribe to Our Heart Stories for more powerful tales of courage, family, and the second chances that transform ordinary people into extraordinary leaders.